So we are all aware of Rising Storm 2 Vietnam is not going to be receiving any more official updates, and the closest thing we're going to be getting to a Vietnam update is from GOM 4, which we are going to be talking about in today's video. But before I get into that, I just need to apologize for the audio. I am recording in my garage, but the second thing that we need to talk about is that if you've been on the Steam forums or have watched HexDK's latest stream, you might be aware of this person going around saying how Tripwire needs to save RS2, and they go on to urge people to call, email, basically spam Tripwire into fixing the VoIP bug as well as other bugs that a lot of us are probably familiar with by now.
Or do these scroll menus just never work?
And the dev Molly actually came out and said, hey, don't email anything except this email, which honestly surprised me because I thought they would come out and say, hey, don't spam us, RS2 is over, you can just forget about it. But I suppose if you guys want to email Tripwire about how you feel, then you're more than welcome to. But obviously be mature, which is ironic coming from me. Just don't go out and harass any of the devs. But I mean, I personally believe they won't come back and fix this game, especially a year after the game has been classified dead from a development point of view. But I mean, by all means, I'm ignorant and I would love to be proved wrong. But I mean, nonetheless, it does hurt a little bit, especially games such as Postscript, which are seeing less player numbers and are still being worked on. And at the current moment, this is like the only Vietnam War game that's able to have a constant play base that allows you to have an online experience. But moving on to GOM 4 and what's been happening with it since the last time we talked about it, we finally have the Republic of Korean voice lines as well as custom icons for them in the game.
밥 먹고 댕기는겨? 뭘 그리 치다봐? 예? 한판 붙어볼텨? 나무가 다 도적질해 간 놈들이 말도 많어.
They also have vests added to the customization, and I know that some of you guys like your vest cosmetics. Now, the mod creator does need voice actors, so if you want to give it a shot, you're more than welcome to, but I think we can all agree that the RS2 voice lines aren't the best, but I mean, hey, voice acting isn't easy, believe me. I auditioned, I tried, and I did a pretty bad job, so it's kind of rich me saying, oh, the voice lines aren't that good. It's a lot harder than it is, but yeah, I mean, they could be better, and it's good to see that maybe if the community can get involved to fill in these voice lines. But we have the Pathet Lao as a new faction, and they have their own unique weapons and equipment. I won't go into too much detail because I already talked about it, but the MG42 has had some work done to it, primarily to its animations and recoil. It actually looks like it's a part of the game now and not something that looks sort of glitchy, but a cool thing is that when you prone with an LMG, it actually auto deploys the bipod, which I find is a nice little feature. There has also been unique icons for the MG42 and 34. Feels like the gun is better integrated into the game, and it's not just these guns, other guns have had this done to them too.
Charlie is being attacked.
And the reason why I like these kinds of things is because if the mod can feel not like a mod and more like a literal extension of RS2, then I'm honestly all for it. I would love to see that happen. The PPS, and I know I said it right this time, it has had its weapon sounds changed. Bear in mind it is a work in progress and the gun has had some animations added to it. Now, when throwing the US grenades, the spoon will visibly detach itself from the grenade and go on the ground. These are still a work in progress, however, but it's a cool little addition to the grenades. Some of the sniper scopes have been changed when you use them, especially the scoped M16, which I honestly look forward to using because the M16, fantastic at range, but I need glasses sometimes because I just can't see the enemy after a certain distance. I think that's just because my eyes are stuffed, but so for someone with not so good vision, then this is a nice addition. But in all seriousness, you can compare the GOM 4 scopes to the base RS2 scopes on screen. A couple of new explosives have been added to the game. This includes the RDG-33, which looks cool, but compared to the standard VC grenade, this thing hits really hard. And trust me, when I was testing this out, I did not know this, and it really did catch me off guard because I was within the splash radius without even knowing it. Now, we also have the Viet Cong grenade. The Trapper class, which is basically the new Sapper class, gets a thing called the Soda Mine and Grenade. Now, the Soda Mine will actually be replacing the MD-82 mines, and that's because apparently these mines weren't even technically around when the Vietnam War was going on. Now, there's a cool little thing about the Soda Mine. If you actually step on it, it will cause a bleeding effect. We see the addition of the Tull-1. It's a heavily work in progress gun, and from what I've been told, it's a North Vietnamese made LMG that tries to mimic the RPK. I suppose it can look like the RPD's counterpart. Like I said, it's a heavy work in progress, and it functions similar to the Type 56 at the current moment. Now we see the addition of a new L1A1, and I'm gonna be 100% honest with you guys, I don't know how this differs to the one in-game, especially from like a realistic perspective. But if anyone wants to comment and sort of give me a little history lesson, then believe me, I'm all for it. I was told that there isn't actually going to be any statistical difference other than the fact that the Lithgow one is a New Zealand production. But the last thing I want to talk about is the vehicle status. They haven't been worked on since the last time we talked about the mod, but we can spawn them in and drive them around any map that we load into. However, like I said in the past, most maps aren't designed to have vehicles used in them, so navigating the streets can be extremely difficult, and if you're driving a tank and you get stuck on something, then you are very vulnerable to an attack. But hopefully over time we do see some new maps that are added into the game that are tank and M113 compatible. But I gotta be absolutely honest, driving and drifting around the rice fields on Coochie is a lot of fun. And I know I've said this in the past so many times, but I just can't wait till I get my mates in one of these and, you know, we just kamikaze the enemy. Another cool thing is that motion blue can be turned on and off, and we can see a video here, and honestly the differences are pretty noticeable. Now, one thing you guys need to bear in mind is that this mod takes the game in a more historical direction, and this means that some things are going to be removed, such as the rice farmer's hat. Turns out the Vietnamese didn't actually use these things in combat, and I can, from what I've heard, it's a bastard to lie down or prone down wearing this hat. I can tell you from first-hand experience, because I own one of them. Also, the double barrel shotguns have been removed, because, you know, let's be honest, the sawn-off is just a complete meme gun. I only use that gun just to mess with people. But I hope in the future, with the development of this mod, more and more people are willing to play it, because there are servers that do host it in its unfinished state at the moment, and I don't see a whole lot of people playing it, which is a shame. But personally, as someone who hopes RS2 can be as good as it possibly can, Tripwire is most likely not going to do it. This one person who is working on GOM 4 has basically taken upon themselves to dedicate their time to ensuring that the game can be as good as it possibly can be. But yes, I know that a lot of people are used to the current RS2 that they play. They are so familiar with it, and which is why that they might be a little hesitant to try out this mod. But if you haven't watched my first GOM 4 video, I do advise that you watch it to sort of get some understanding and background to what the mod is, which you can find on screen. Anyways, my name is Tantu, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.